Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Paul, and I am a nerd, and you are here for not the Tabs 3 virtual user group meeting, but the PracticeMaster virtual user group meeting for March of 2016. If you saw where it said Tabs 3 virtual user group meeting, you were imagining that. Because as you can see, plainly it says PracticeMaster virtual user group meeting on your screen right now. Sorry about that confusion. Hey, what can I say? I'm only human. Today we are talking about the form designer and some changes that were made in version 18. I get to talk about that. I'm very excited because I'm a nerd and I use the form designer all the time. And Mary Jo's going to kind of expand upon what I talked about last month. She's going to talk about the fee reports that have been added to PracticeMaster. I talked about fee entry last month. She's going to talk about the new fee reports. Of course, as you may be guessing, this is all to get those attorneys out of tabs and get them into PracticeMaster to enter their time. And I think they've done a pretty good job. So Mary Jo's going to show you that part. I'm going to click all of the magic buttons, not just one of them, but all of them. There's several magic buttons. That's probably why people don't ever get to use the magic buttons. They don't understand that there is more than one magic button. I know them all. And now we are done with that PowerPoint slide set, and Mary Jo is ready to talk about the new fee reports in PracticeMaster.
Okay, exciting stuff.
Speaking of exciting stuff, Mary Jo, do you notice that your mouse is moving around?
I do. That is 2 times in a row that you have remembered to give me keyboard and mouse.
Very exciting.
I'm very impressed. So I'm going to talk about 4 new reports that came out with version 18 in PracticeMaster that is going to allow you to do some fee recap kind of things. What was the daily fees that per timekeeper, whatever it is that you want there. So underneath the reports, these reports are found out in Report Writer, and they can be moved out here on this screen under the Report tab. So this is customizable here. I think we've talked about that in the past, where if you hit Customize, you can choose different reports that you want, and you can replace ones that are already here with reports that you use all the time. Otherwise, we have to click on Report Writer and then scroll through to find the report that we want. So that's just another little tip. If you want to change and put reports out here, click on Customize, find the report in Report Writer, and throw it out here on the screen. So for now, I'm going to just go into the Report Writer, and we're going to look at 4 different fee reports that have come out. We have the Detail Fee Recap report here. Whoops, I didn't mean to click on that all the way. And then we have the fee billable and non-billable hours recap. We have the total worked hours in the week, and there is a fee recap report. And the fee report was there before. And then here's a weekly fee recap. So there's several different reports in here that are new. So let's look at the Detail Fee Recap here. So I'm just going to click on it and click Print, which opens up this window here. I can run this by client or leave it open and run it for all clients or do a range. I can say which timekeeper I want to run it for. So if it's just for one timekeeper, I could say 1 to 1 or 2 to 2 or a range 1 through 5. And then whatever date range I want here. Now, just as a reminder, I am in sample data, so that's why we are in November of 2014. You would have the current dates here. I am going to leave this out here only because I don't know what is in there for 2016, but I know that there is data out here for 2014. So I'm just going to click Print. I'm just going to leave it wide open and have it be for all clients. Because it's sample data, there's not that many clients and the timekeepers. When I hit Print, I will preview. And again, this is my Detail Fee Recap. So I did it by timekeeper. So here is Michael Jensen. I'm sorry, Michael Larson, Michael Jensen. They're both sample people, so they confuse me. But Michael Jensen, and it tells me the hours that were worked and the amount that was worth, and then the description. So and which client that was for. So here is the client, 200.02 Peterson Insurance, and there is what we did with the description of what it was. So the client ID is showing up under the description of who it was for, and then what was done. And then a total for that time frame. And then if I scroll down, I would go to the next attorney. And there's Pamela Martin and her total. So this is worked hours. When we talk about a fee recap, we're talking about worked hours. These may not have been billed yet. These are just worked hours that have been entered into the system and what the value is. So that is the Detail Fee Recap report. And I'll scroll down and you can just see it's doing it for each attorney, and we've got each attorney printing on its own page. So that's that. And remember, you can always limit your criteria here to be what you want it to be. So I'm going to go back out here, and let's do the billable, non-billable hours recap. We'll print that one. Again, same kind of parameters that I have that I can select. I'm going to leave it open again. Print this one. And for this report, again, now I've got billable hours. They might not have been billed yet, but they are billable, and non-billable versus, whichever I want there, whatever it is, and my totals. And again, I have my description and my values, and it's by attorney. So scrolling down again, here's the one that has some non-billable time. So it's going to give me my totals for billable, non-billable, and the value, all the descriptions. That's the billable, non-billable hours recap. I also have the fee hours for the week, so the total worked hours for the week. This detail fee recap was just the complete, all of the detail, but let's look at the difference between that and the total worked hours for this week. Go ahead and print this. I have a little less things to choose from. It's going to give me client ranges and my timekeeper, and I'm just doing this for one timekeeper. So let's preview this. And now I'm going to get it in a weekly view. So I've got my Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and again, we're back in that range. And it will be for whatever the current week is and the total for that week. This is kind of like a little snippet from the Recap of Hours report. If you think of the Recap of Hours report, it looks like a calendar, and this is just taking that weekly snippet out of there and telling you this is what it is in, that the system has in there that you've worked so far. So it's just a real short, sweet little report there. And then lastly, we have our weekly fee recap. And we'll do this one, and we'll hit print. And again, not as much data available here. Go ahead and print, or criteria to select from, I should say. And this is just going to give me the billable versus non-billable. So it's the same kind of a view that we were just looking at, but instead of the worked, it's giving me that little snippet in the recap, and it just gives me that daily view of what was billable, what was non-billable in the total, and then the grand total at the end. So just a little week out of the recap report spelled out on that particular page.
Kind of two different reports with two different perspectives.
Mm-hmm.
One being, what did I work? I want to make sure I got my 8 hours, my 9 hours. The other being, what did I bill?
Yeah, was it billable or was it non-billable? So those are the 4 new fee reports that were out there. There were a couple that were in there before, but just so that you know that those were the 4 newest reports that you can print from PracticeMaster. And if I like those, again, if I'm using one of those all the time, the daily recap or the weekly recap, customize, click on a not assigned or any of these spots that I want to replace a report, all I need to do is scroll down and I can pick whichever one of those reports I want, say OK, and it's going to place it out here. As soon as I hit run, it's going to ask if I want to save those changes to this folder, which I'll say yes. And now I've got the detail fee recap right here. I don't have to go out to Report Writer, scroll down. It's right here. All I have to do is click it, and I can pick my criteria and run the report. So anytime you want to write a report out here on the main screen, customize, scroll down, pick which space you want it in, and you can put those reports out there. If you don't have rights to that, your manager or somebody there will be able to do that for you, and they can log in and put that on there for you. So there's a couple of new things that I think will be helpful in managing your time.
Pretty cool. I think that does do a good job of keeping those attorneys out of tabs when you combine it with the new functionality we saw last month of how we can enter fees with the same functionality as tabs in PracticeMaster.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to get nerdy on you, and we're going to go into the form designer and talk about some changes that took place there. Now, what I mean by the form designer is that if I go into the client file and pull up a certain record like Michael Larson, I see data. And this is a form. The fact that this field is here, and this field is here, and this field is here, these are all fields that are on this overall form for this particular tab. And we have control over what fields show up where. We can take fields off of a screen. If we've got the field in the file structure, but it's not showing on a certain screen, we can add them. And so they've made some enhancements. That's, of course, been there all along, that functionality of being able to edit the form designer or edit the form within the form designer. What's new is some things they've done to make it even easier. So I'm going to go into the form designer. You need to be in the list tab for whichever file you're going to edit the form for. If you're in one of the data tabs, not the list, and you hit edit, form designer will not be on that menu. The edit menu does not have Form Designer unless I am on the List tab, the one that shows all of the whatever it is you're editing. In this instance, it's client file. Then I can click Edit and Form Designer, and here I am. Now, this is my favorite. It used to be that if you wanted to move a field, you moved the field. Now, these things that you see popping up that help me line it up, help me get it lined up, that's another new function. But what's really cool to me is I can just hit the right arrow and hold it, or I can hit the left arrow and hold it, or I can hit the up or down arrow. Now, that was never there. You had to move by going like this. This other thing that you're seeing happening was never there either. So trying to get this lined up perfectly with that, without these red things that are popping up to show me exactly how it lines up with other fields, that was very hard too. So frankly, I don't need this quite as much as I would have before, because now when I move these fields, they snap to each other in such a way that it's very easy to line things up. Now, if I wanted to get started lining something up and I wanted to do it manually, I used to have to mark both fields and then go up here and do the thing to line them up vertically on the left or right boundary. But now that comes up as something that's right here. Well, the lining up was always there, okay? It's the equalize width, equalize horizontal spacing, equalize vertical spacing, okay? So what this means is, if I grab this, and I move it back over where it should be, and then let's pretend that I didn't get it quite lined up right. And so let's take these three fields and move them over here, and you can tell that they're not lined up. Well, we'll move this over here. There we go. You can tell that there's more space between these than there is between these. And so if I take these three fields and then use a right click, I now have the ability to align vertical spacing, or equalize vertical spacing using the align command. And there we go. Now I have made sure that the spacing between the fields is identical and that there's nothing that's skewed, nothing that's a little bit farther than the next thing. For me, this is huge. Some people don't really care quite so much about how things line up. I'm huge on how things line up. Another thing that's new, and I can't demonstrate this to you, and I don't know if Mary Jo, this is going to work when Mary Jo does it. Mary Jo is going to actually use her mouse and she's going to grab this field and move it, but she's not going to let go. And then she's going to hit the escape key, and it goes right back. If you've ever, before having this, if you tried to move a field and you had to, if you tried to move a field and you had to stop, you had to put it back exactly where it was. You didn't have the escape key. You would just have to either drop it and then grab it again and move it back down there. Now, as long as you have not let go, if you hit the escape key, it will put it exactly where you left it. So if you're in the middle of dragging a field and you're like, wait a minute, I grabbed the wrong field, you just hit escape and it puts it exactly back where it was before. Another thing, yes, Mary Jo's right. She says that if you do let go, you could have done undo before, but I think this is cooler. Now, let's say that I've demonstrated this to you, and I'm in the middle of making these changes, and I'm not really done, but I accidentally hit this button. It used to be that you didn't have this cancel button. So you had accidentally hit the button to get out of here. And you could either save the changes or not. If you said no, everything would go back to the way it was, and you'd have to start over. If you said save the changes, well, maybe you don't want to do that either. Maybe you just accidentally hit this button, and now we have a cancel button. So that's not huge, but it's a big annoyance when you accidentally hit that button or accidentally hit escape, which will do the same thing, ask if you want to save or not. And now you have a way to say, no, I didn't mean to hit escape. Take me back to where I was. Get me back in there. And finally, whereas you can now move with a left and a right arrow, okay? Or, of course, you can get it back to matching up exactly by using that alignment there that's going to snap in. This magnetic alignment is controlled by this button here, just so you know. If I turn it off, it's not going to happen, and I'm going to have to make something line up correctly. I don't have that snapping that's happening. But as soon as I turn this back on, now all of a sudden I've got the snapping that's going to help me to snap to the right alignment with the field, snap to the right alignment with the label. Both a horizontal and vertical alignment snap is going to come into play for me. But here's the thing I'm after. This is my absolute favorite new thing. Whereas we can use right and left or up and down to move this field, we can hold down Shift and hit the left arrow and resize it without having to grab these things over here and drag it in and let go of it at exactly the place where you want it. Now, if I say, for instance, that I want to equalize width, which was always there, so we're going to equalize width. The problem is maybe I didn't want it to equalize that way. Maybe I had a field that didn't have one of these things. Let me pull this over. Maybe I want to equalize width on these fields. And we won't pay attention to the fact that they're not perfectly spaced. I'm very anal retentive. That's going to bother me. Let's say we wanted to equalize width on these fields. You see how it pulls it out here? It lines it up with the field, not with the end of that box. What if I wanted it with the end of the box? Well, now with this Shift right arrow, and then me just hitting it a couple times, we're going to take it back. I think that's perfect. Bam. Now we've got it lined up exactly the right way, and I didn't have to drag it out there. If you've ever tried to drag this and let go at exactly the right point, you know what I'm talking about. It's very difficult to do. But now I've got it lined up, and all I had to do was use my right or left mouse button with a Shift. I'm sorry, right or left key with a Shift, my cursor keys, and I'm able to nudge that into exactly the right position and exactly the right size. And so those are the changes. Nothing all that exciting for a regular user, but for us nerds that get into this form designer and mess with this stuff all the time, or even if you just do it occasionally, these are huge changes that are very significant and very appreciated by the people who use them. And so that's that. Let's look at what we've got for next month. We want to make you aware of the fact that next month we're talking about the agenda view and calendar. It's a new way to look at your calendar, a new way to print a calendar. For those people that have very busy calendars, we're trying to print it by a weekly or monthly view. Just there isn't maybe enough room to do it. The agenda view will take care of that for you. Mary Jo's going to talk about that. And I'm going to talk about the new Outlook Sync Settings report, which I think is huge because it allows you to look at sync settings from one desktop, from one user, for the entire firm. You used to have to go around to user by user by user by user by user and sign into their desktop to see how their settings were set. Now we have a report. So if you've got a 90-person installation of PracticeMaster, what used to require a visit to 90 desktops now can be done with one report from one desktop. And I'm going to talk about that. Now I do, before we leave you, want to take you to Attorney Computer Systems with an emphasis on that S that's on the end of systems, attorneycomputersystems.com, and show you that if you hover on the videos button, a drop-down will show up, or if you just click on the videos link at the top, you'll go to our videos page as opposed to the drop-down, where you can see all of our video titles, including those that are live, like what you're watching right now, and those that are taped in Studio C at Attorney Computer Systems. The live events, the Tabs 3 Virtual User Group Meeting, PracticeMaster Virtual User Group, WorldDocs Virtual User Group, and the Coffee Pot webinars. These are all live events that you can attend live, but we also record them. More on that in a second. If you click on one of these events, you will go to a page for that event where you will see what's happening next, what the next Tabs 3 virtual user group meeting is, a link to register for it, to attend live. And as you scroll down, you will see the old recorded versions of anything that's been done in the past. So everything we've ever done and recorded in the Tabs 3 virtual user group realm is out here for you to watch. And we've been doing this and recording it for a long time. Same with PracticeMaster, same with World Docs, same with the Coffee Pot webinars, which is something that I do each month to usually talk about some interesting side product that you can use with World Docs or PracticeMaster or Tabs. And then we also have our pre-recorded videos. Mary Jo has her eBite video series. She records 3 of them each month, one on Tabs, one on PracticeMaster, one on World Docs. And these are just short 3, 4, 5-minute videos with some very specific feature or hint or secret thing that is very cool. Or the longer format Paul and Mary Jo show, where either I or Mary Jo will take a very broad topic and take 10, 15, maybe 20 minutes to go into great detail about everything there is to know about that particular topic. Please take advantage of these things, these videos. They are out there for you to use. You can search them also by using the search box up here and typing something like email and either selecting from the list that pops up or hitting the search button and selecting from that list there. So be sure to take advantage of all this video content. It's there for you. We want you to use it. Everybody have a good rest of the day, good rest of the month. We will see you in April at the PracticeMaster Virtual User Group meeting. Thanks much. Bye-bye.